So today we're going to start talking about dividing with decimals. We've talked about multiplying with decimals. So today we start division with decimals. If you're adding this to your table of contents, which you should be, your title is Dividing with Decimals, and this is Objective 5 in BT 7, which is right there. And your title should be Dividing with Decimals in your table of contents. We're going to start with scenario 1, and we're actually going to look through these steps right here. These are going to be steps that on your next test you'll kind of have to work through in your questions. The first step says to write a horizontal problem, which they have that horizontal problem written for us, 2 divided by 4/10. The second step says to estimate the answer. So that means I'm going to think of easy numbers, and I'm going to think of what that would actually equal. Okay, so if I think of 2 divided by 4/10 is pretty close to 5/10, so this is going to be my estimate here. 4/10 is pretty close to 5/10, so I'm going to make it 2 divided by 5/10. If I split 2 into groups of 5/10, I know that ends up being 4 groups. How do I know that? I know that if I have 2 wholes and I put them into groups of 5/10, it gives me 4 groups. Okay, so my answer should be somewhere around 4 wholes. Should be somewhere where my answer is. Okay, here they have 2 grids laid out for us. And I'm supposed to take all 2 of these grids and put them into groups of 4/10. I need to group 4/10 at a time. Okay, so that means I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 1 group. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 3 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 groups. So what this tells me is that my answer is 5 wholes. You may be wondering, how did you get 5 wholes as your answer, Ms. Reynolds? Well, when you are dividing with decimals, your first number tells you your total. This tells me the total amount I'm considering. Okay, so this first number, the number 2, tells me the total amount I'm considering. The second number here, in this scenario, tells me how many I need to put in each group. So my answer is going to tell me the number of groups I have. How do I check my work? Okay. I would check my work. I could multiply. I could say 5 times 4/10, and that should equal 2 wholes. Okay, so if I multiply 5 times 4/10, 5 times 4/10 is 20/10, or the same thing as 2 wholes, so my answer is correct. Okay. Another thing it says to do, we did estimate. Step 3 said to find it with base 10 grids, which we did. And step 4 said to compare my actual answer with my estimate. My actual answer is 5. My estimate was 4. Those are pretty close. Okay. All right. So this step right here, when we look at scenario 2 on this page, it wants us to use base 10 blocks or base 10 drawings. So I'm going to write my horizontal problem. That's written right here. Horizontal means from left to right, side to side. I'm going to estimate an answer. So when I see 25.25, I think 25 cents. I think quarters. And if I have 3 whole dollars, that must mean that I end up having 4 quarters and $1. So if I have 3 whole dollars, then I have 12 quarters. So I'm going to estimate that my answer should be around 12, because 0 and 25 hundredths is the same thing as 1/4. And there are 12 quarters in $3. Okay, so I would draw 3 holes, 1, 2, 3. That's, remember, this is my total. Okay, the second number here in my division equation is how much goes into each group. My answer is my quotient, or it'll be how many groups I'm able to create. Okay, so this is the groups I'm able to create. So right now, I can't do anything with the holes in order to put 25 hundredths into a group. So I need to break these guys down into tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because I know 10 tenths is in one hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I'm breaking it down into tenths. We're understanding that we need 25 hundredths into each group. So that's 2 tenths I need to put in each group, and then I need to put 5 hundredths in each group. Okay. So what I can do here is take 2 tenths, 1, 2 tenths, split those, and on my third tenth I can break it down into hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And give this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. All right. Now I'm going to put 2 more tenths and give the other 5 hundredths to this group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've used all of those. Okay. Then I'm going to do it for the same thing here. I'm going to put 2 tenths, cross those out, make that middle tenth that I have right there into hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give this group 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one group. And then I'm going to do my last 2 tenths on that part right there and give this group 5 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, since I've done that for one hole already, I broke the one hole down into these little parts. I know that in the one hole, there's 4 groups of 25 hundredths. So in this one hole, there must be 4 more groups of 25 hundredths. And in this hole, there must be 4 more groups of 25 hundredths. So for each hole, this equals 4 groups of 25 hundredths. This equals 4 groups of 25 hundredths. And the way I know that is because I figured out what one hole, how many groups of 25 hundredths was in one hole. And if it's in this hole, then it's in this hole. And it's also in this hole. So if I think 4, 4, and 4, 4 groups of 25 hundredths, 4 groups of 25 hundredths, and another 4 groups of 25 hundredths, this means I'm able to create 12 groups of 25 hundredths, which directly matches my estimate because I thought about quarters. Okay, so that means my answer is correct. Another way to check it, if I take 12 times 25 hundredths, I should get 3 holes. Again, 12 times 25 cents or 12 times 12 quarters equals $3, so I know that I'm correct there. Okay. Let's look at scenario 3. This uses base 10 grids again. I'm going to write my horizontal problem, which is actually written for me already. Estimate my answer. If I have 4 holes divided by 8 tenths is really close to 1 hole, then I know my answer should be somewhere around 4 holes. This is my estimate. How did I get divided by 1? Because 8 tenths is pretty close. It's only 2 tenths away from 1 hole. And that's an easy number. 4 divided by 1 is 4. Okay, so again, I have 4 whole base 10 grids drawn here, and I have to split it into groups of 8/10. So I need to count 8/10 out at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one group of 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 2 groups of 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 3 groups of 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 4 groups of 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my 5th group of 8/10. So this ended up equaling 5 wholes. Okay, that equals 5 wholes. If I look at my estimate, which was 4, 4 is really close to 5, and since I went up a little bit, I should get a smaller. If I went up on my, divisor, then I should get a smaller quotient. Here my divisor was a little bit lower, so my quotient should be a little bit larger. So I know that these two are very similar, and that would be correct. Okay. If I look at scenario 4, they want me to use base 10 drawings. It's a word problem, so I'm going to do cubes down the side. Going to circle my important numbers. Marcus bought $4 to the school store. Each eraser he bought cost 16 cents. How many erasers did he buy with his $4? Okay. So I'm going to circle my important numbers. How many erasers did he buy with his $4? Underline my question. Box my key action words. Each eraser he bought cost, and each cost 16 cents. And I want to know how many he bought with $4. If I evaluate that, if he has $4 to spend, and each eraser costs 16 cents, I'm trying to figure out how many groups of 16 cents are within his $4, because that's going to tell me how many erasers he was able to buy. So I want to find how many groups of 16 cents are in Marcus's $4, because that tells me how many erasers he can buy. Okay, so if I'm trying to figure out how many groups of 16 cents are in $4, I am taking $4 and I'm dividing it by 16 cents. And that's going to tell me how many erasers he was able to purchase. That's going to tell me how many groups of 16 cents are in that $4. And groups of 16 cents in this case are the same thing as erasers he's able to purchase. So if I have 4 holes, okay, and I can't break it down into 16 hundredths right now, so I'm going to break this one down into 10 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know that I need 1/10 and 6 hundredths in each group. So I can take 1/10 from here, and I can break this down into hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Add 6 hundredths here. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And mark them out. Then I have one group of 16 hundredths. Now I'm going to take my next group, my next tenth, give it 1/10 here. I still have 4 hundredths I can use. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to break down my next tenth and give it 10 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need to add 2 more here to get my 6 hundredths that I needed. Circle this. Take my next tenth. 1/10. Then I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hundredths there. And now I'll circle that. Take my next tenth from here, cross it out. Take my next tenth and make it into hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 2 more left down here that I'm going to go ahead and give. And then I need 4 more from this group. 1, 2, 3, 4. Circle that. I'm going to take my next 10th, and I'm going to give it these 600s that are left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then I'm going to take my next 10th, make it a group, break this 10th down into 6 1000s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I would give this group 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right, which means I have 400s left over. I would keep breaking each whole down until I got groups of 1600s. Okay, I would continue breaking each whole down until I got groups of 1600s and seeing how many groups of 1600s I could get with all 4 of my holes. If I were to keep doing that, I would end up with 25 groups of 1600, so it means 25 erasers. Now what I realized is I've skipped a step. I solved it, I made my horizontal equation, but I forgot to estimate. So if I'm thinking 4 divided by 1600s, that's really similar to 4 divided by 2000s, okay, or 2/10. And I know that equals, if I take 4 and I divide it by 2000s, I know that that equals 20. Okay, so 20 and 25 are pretty close. Guys, trying to solve it like this, you would have to keep very close eye on your organization of your work and your drawings. To me, base 10 grids are a lot easier to use. Personally, you might find that this is easier for you. It's whatever works for your brain, but you have to really keep close track of what you're crossing out and what you're using in this method. If you don't have base 10 grids, you can always use graph paper. You can make a 10 by 10 square for each base 10 grid you need, and you have base 10 grids right there in front of you. Okay? Celia's saying for today is I am getting ready to leave work, and it is 5:18 p.m. If you can come in and tell me the time tomorrow, you can earn 5 tickets.